This next one is someone that was inspired by Charlie Kirk.
You know, I don't come from any kind of money, and I've never owned a suit before. My wife, she bought me this suit. Our anniversary's coming up, and we have a nice anniversary plan. You know, we make a little bit of money now, and I'm proud to say that, because that's certainly not where either one of us comes from. And I feel good in this suit, man. And I just want my wife to know she made me feel good. It's a $300 suit. I ain't never had nothing like this before in my life. And I tell you what, okay, video flip here, so I'm gonna lose some of you. I didn't know Charlie Kirk, never met that guy before in my life. And something else that I've never done before in my life is believe in God. I'm gonna wear this suit to church. I'm gonna go to church. I'm going to try to be a better father, husband, and leader for my family. They deserve that. My phone fell down. I guess that's the devil trying to mess me up right now. I'm gonna try, y'all. Look at this suit. I look good, bro. My wife made me feel this way. Charlie's made me feel this way. Yeah, message over.
So, in his own way, what he's trying to convey there, which is it's pretty heartwarming, is like, look, maybe out of this horrific tragedy, just remember that not all of this ends up being horrible and evil. And you always remember the message, and this is powerful proof of this message, that the things which Satan uses for evil, God will use for good.
You know how many more people went to church? I went to church for the first time in 22 years, Sunday, and I will be going every Sunday. And I hope that that's the sort of stuff that we do, that we bring this nation back to God, and that's what Charlie represented. Now, you juxtapose that to those two left-wing clowns we just saw streaming, the big, like, left-wing versions of Charlie Kirk, though they can't hold a candle to the man. And what does their audience believe? What do they represent? It couldn't be a more stark difference between good and evil.
Yeah, agreed.
This is Britain. Tommy Robinson, God bless him, leading a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. And then it ends with this.
And remember this, to those of you in the audience too, that we get embroiled often in American politics and forget that there's a global phenomenon of the poison of leftism, feminism, and Marxism. And that right now, the British people are in a war for their very existence and survival against this, due to the fact that their own leadership sold the public out even after they voted in Brexit, and have demanded time and time again to have a halt on immigration policy into their nation. And they're tired of being ignored, and they're tired of their wives and daughters being raped by these insane people who are being imported into their nation in order to make my GDP look good. Right now, that's a freedom fight that's happening there, which I very much support. And this on the eve of what happened to Charlie Kirk, never think that all of this is not relational. Even if it's the case that you don't understand how the pulse in one area affects the pulse of another, it's all relational. And it's something to pay very close attention to in the future.
This is the White House tribute to Charlie Kirk.
Is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it? that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.
Very powerful. I understand that that's a very emotional video for many, but you should focus on the message. One thing Fuentes, I think, got correct when he was giving his kind of breakdown on what was going on with Charlie Kirk. He was murdered primarily for his belief in Jesus Christ, and never think for a second that that was not the case. He was murdered primarily. This often happens to Christians. Why? Why was that the primary reason? For those of you who are naysayers, because his entire worldview is filtered through that prism. That's how he viewed the world, was through Christian ethics. So if it's the case that you're murdered for your view and your worldview is Christian ethics, then you're being murdered for your belief and faith in Jesus Christ. That is what's happening. It's just a very easy, logical breakdown. And that's exactly what happened to Kirk. He was murdered horrifically for his faith in Jesus Christ. That's what informed his viewpoint and messaging and Christian ethics that he was disseminating. That's what this bastard killed him for, and anybody else potentially who's connected with that.
I just want you to think about that, what you just saw there in this picture. And then go back, watch this episode again, and go back to the first 40 minutes of it and watch what those lefties were saying. Watch what they're doing. Insulting those children, that wife, and that man. And if that doesn't show you what this is, and if I don't care at this point, I don't even care if you're someone that's like, well, I have more liberal-minded economic policies and things like that. How could you stand with this evil? Again, I'm not suggesting that anything such as violence is necessary. We as a society need to stand up, proclaim belief in Christ, and get back to the family unit and family values and what the things were that Charlie stood for, and stand up to these evil people that have inundated almost every institution in this country.
Well, why is it that, and by the way, these sick, they do it to me too, and they'll do it to you too, Rob. Yep. They often attack you through your children, through innuendo, through your children, through your wife, things like this. With Kirk no longer here to be able to be attacked, of course, they're going to viciously continue to try to torture this man's soul by attacking his wife and kids. And I guarantee you that that's not going to stop. And they'll do it under the guise of satire, when we're kind of past the idea of satire here. This is no longer satire that they're playing into. I understand edgy jokes. I love jokes. I think that I love comedy. There's not very much which is offensive to me. This, to me, ultimately isn't even offensive. It's beyond that. Yep. The idea here is not offended. The idea here is that I can clearly see that you have a worldview ideology, which tells me that you want to kill me. Mm-hmm. It's pretty simple. Yep. That you want to kill us. That's what you want to do.
I can't stress this enough. It is not the fringe, gnarling, blue-haired, purple-haired, piercing people in some dingy basement that want you to have your life ended. Yes, they do, but it's your neighbor. It's the nurse. It's the pilot. It's the judge. And they feel morally righteous to do so, and they're not going to stop. They have been gaslit into believing that we are evil, that we are Nazis, that we are bigots, that we are racist, that we're every ism in the world, and they are justified on this crusade, the new civil rights movement. And all things are on the table. The ends will always justify the means. They do want you dead. And if you don't stand up and realize now, then it's going to be too late to do anything by the time that you realize it's time to start pushing back on this.
And remember the key here, ladies and gentlemen, begin to separate from these people. Get them out of your life. Remove them away from you. Don't do business with them. You need to push them away from society, period. They're awful human beings. And they're not going to stop. And it's very obvious that they're not going to stop. And we all know another thing that's true. And we got to stop pretending this too. We all are hoping that this will be the end of this series of events. Yeah, right. This is going to be these people are now more emboldened than they've ever been. And if you think that this is the first or the last, you've got another thing coming. It's just the first in a very quick sequential series, I'm afraid. And I'm sure most of you do too. The thing is like keep yourself vigilant, because Sam Hyde's right. That is you.